Welcome to the Creekwood High School Football Coaches Show with Creekwood head coach Houston Thiel and Dickson Post sports reporter Casey Patrick. The Creekwood Football Coaches Show is brought to you by Preston Thompson's Carpet Shop, for all your flooring and paint needs since 1970, voted #1 in Dickson County. The Dickson Tater Shack. Their potatoes are fluffy clouds of deliciousness that'll have you falling head over heels. New Wave Hobbies, bringing back the nostalgia with all your favorite childhood treasure in one place. Ace Hardware of White Bluff, your one-stop shop for all your do-it-yourself needs, where service and quality are always on point. Drug-Free Dickson Coalition, empowering our community one step at a time towards a healthier, substance-free future. And the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Remember, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Now, here are Coach Houston Thiel and Casey Patrick.
Hello and welcome to the Creekwood High School Football Coaches Show. My name is Casey Patrick. I'm here with Coach Houston Thiel. Coach, last Friday your team lost 24-7 to Fairview. Just kind of give us an idea of what the difference was between the two teams and what made it hard to beat them.
Well, we can debunk the myth of we lose because you're there, right, Casey? So
I feel better about that. At
you
least
can get
a
that.
little bit.
You can get that part off, and now you're welcome to start being back at our ball games.
Yes, sir.
One of those things when we left the game Friday night, and we talked about it as coaches on Monday. When we left Friday, man, you really just had this feeling of you just didn't do anything well. And as you got back and you kind of studied the tape, that was just really not the case. I mean, there was a lot of positives that come out of it. Now, obviously, not the result that we're looking for, but when you come away from those games at times and you've got a different aspect of what that looks like, and the feeling, you take the emotion away from just the loss and then actually study the tape. You're like, man, there was some good things there, but Fairview's a team that was one of the more physical teams I felt like that we had played. I didn't think they had a speed advantage that we had faced in weeks prior, but I thought that they were one of the more physical teams that we played, and they really won the line of scrimmage offensively, defensively, and it made it tough to sustain things. And our defense played well. Gave up a fourth down touchdown that, at 4th and 20-something and a goal line situation, and just mixed up a coverage and gave up a touchdown there and another long run. Some uncharacteristic things that they haven't done in the past, but I think the physicality was the thing that Fairview brought to us that we didn't handle and respond to as well as I would have hoped.
Well, and one of the other questions I've got written down here is of course, we were talking before we started the show. You see the issues that your team may have. Are some of them fixable? I know that the size issues can be a challenge, and you can't change your size. But some of the other issues, is there anything there that is fixable that you think you can get taken care of?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of coaching, right? You're always finding things that you can work on and better ways for your team to head into a ball game. And we've talked about it a lot, and it just kind of goes back to the constant theme of, we got a lot of new guys out there and a lot of different places. And with that being said, not only are they newer guys to us, they're younger guys. I mean, we're playing a ton of sophomores, a ton of juniors. And with that, when you're trying to figure out what game flow is like, we talked about some of the procedural things that we had early in the season. Part of that is still just trying to get them where they're able to physically go compete. And like you said, you're not going to take a kid that's 6 foot, 190 pounds, and then by next Friday have him at 6'3", 270. I mean, it's just that ain't going to happen, right? No. But you can do things to try to help that guy technique-wise. I mean, we're in a public school. I mean, you've kind of got what you've got, and that's the good thing. These guys want to play for their community, want to play for their school. That's part of the great part of this whole high school football deal. And, so, yeah, there's things that we can work on and we can fix. But part of that, too, is still just kind of getting used to playing high school football for some of these guys.
Yeah.
And it's been a thing, and that's the thing I've talked to Alex Pinson about a lot with our quarterback spot is that, Alex has definitely played football, but first year being a full-time starter. And
it's quarterback. It's an important position.
Yeah, and there's just a ton of things mentally that's got to go through his head. And we're all making mistakes, and he makes mistakes. And my constant message to him is, man, if we're going to make this mistake in a ball game, that's at least learn from it. That's not have it happen again. And if you will show me that, then I can live with it. I can live with the mistake if we'll learn from it and we won't do it again.
Absolutely. Now, one of the other things I've got written down and wanted to ask is the locker room. Are you worried about the mood of the locker room or the vibe of your team and how, like, mentally how they're approaching this year so far?
Man, you could come out here and the intensity that we had yesterday in practice compared to we had leading up to the start of the year is just as good. And a lot of that is, these guys enjoy being here. They enjoy being around each other. I think they enjoy being around their position coaches, and trying to get better. And another thing, too, is, I make it a point on Mondays when we're preparing for the team that we face that particular week is, giving an honest assessment of, where we're at and not just always giving coach speak, as a lack of better words for it, but actually getting up and telling them, hey, this is where we're at. This is the things that I think we do well. These are things that we're struggling at. And I think part of that, too, is, as in a game, man, coaches make mistakes, too.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important that on Mondays when we're breaking down their tape, you let them know, hey, this is a spot that I put a bad call in the game. This was not a play that was going to be successful, and that's on us, But
and that's accountability, too, and you want that from everybody in the program, right?
And I think when you're kind of fighting through these tough times, you want ownership, and you're not deflecting. And I think, and I brought that up, is I think it's important that the kids see that, I'm owning things just like I'm asking them to. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about it, these guys know what our goal is, and our goal is to play in the postseason. And they know what needs to happen over these last 4 games to make that happen, And I think that as long as they understand what the task is, we're not going to have any issues with, guys laying down. I tell you, I think you can watch our games, and no matter what point in time you're looking at the tape, you're seeing a team that's playing hard.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're going to go to our first break real quick, and then when we get back, we're going to talk about Brennan Adams picked up the touchdown. We're going to talk about some other guys that made some great plays on Friday night. And then, of course, don't forget, we're going to preview Marshall County, too. That's a big game coming up. So, of course, he knows that. But we're going to go to break real quick. Make sure you don't go anywhere.
Nothing updates your home like new flooring, and we have it all. Carpet, LVP, wood, vinyl, and tile, along with professional installation, warranties, and friendly advice. Preston Thompson's Flooring and Paint, voted #1 flooring store in Dickson County.
As your local Ace Hardware of White Bluff, we are all committed to being the helpful place by offering our customers personal service, quality products, and a convenient shopping experience from the local experts who know you best. As the helpful hardware folks in your neighborhood, we promise that helping you is the most important thing we have to do today. Visit us online or in store.
If you love Funko Pop, figures, video games, and Star Wars toys, you need to check out New Wave Hobbies. With new items arriving daily, there's always something new to discover. From Funko Pop, figures to video games, Star Wars toys to Marvel collectibles, we've got everything you're looking for. Whether you're a fan of sports, movies, or TV, you'll find something to excite you. Visit us in store or check out our Facebook, New Wave Hobbies virtual store page today.
At Dickson Tater Shack, we take loaded baked potatoes to a whole new level. We're not just any potato joint, we're the best this side of the Mason-Dixon line. Whether you're a traditionalist who loves classic flavors or a culinary adventurer seeking bold new combinations, we've got you covered. Located at 728 East College Street. Dine in or take out. Follow us on Facebook. Call us at 615-740-7111.
If your paint project calls for bold and vibrant neutrals or soft pastels, Benjamin Moore has the design-inspired colors you've been looking for in a full line of durable, long-lasting paints. And they're all here at Preston Thompson's Flooring and Paint, voted #1 paint store in Dickson County.
Welcome back to the Creekwood High School Football Coaches Show. I'm Casey Patrick. I'm here with Coach Houston Thiel. Coach, offense and defense-wise on Friday night, we'll start with the offense. Brendan Adams picked up the touchdown. Can you tell us a little bit more about that play? And then also any other guys on offense that you thought really stood out and did play well on Friday?
Yeah, I think, and it comes down to consistency. I think at times we had several different guys playing well, and we're trying to get it to where, we got 11 guys playing well throughout a ball game, and it's always the goal. But, Brendan did score the touchdown, and on that particular play, quarterback scrambled out, made some time in the pocket, hit Adams with a good throw. Probably should have been a 7 or 8 yard gain, but Adams was able to make a couple guys miss in open field. And then what really sprung it, because I think it ended up being like a 35 or 36 yard touchdown play, was 2 blocks downfield by DeMattis Henderson and Keon Robertson, 2 guys that are also receivers and understand that their role is to take good plays and turn them into big plays. And both of those guys did that by getting blocks downfield that was able to spring that touchdown. So, yeah, offensively, I had a lot of guys that played well. Continue to see Jaden Elliott. Jaden was a little bit more impactful in the game this Friday. He's been more of a slot receiver that's done a lot in that position, but got a few carries in the backfield and had some positive yards there. Xavier Knight was a guy that, we've been kind of asking him to be a more physical runner, and Friday I thought he really ran how we hoped that he would run, and really showed some positive things. Second down of our first drive, he gets a cutback and takes this carry for probably 14, 15 yards. But White House has a really solid, strong safety that plays for them, and senior kid that's been there and played a lot of ball. Xavier sophomore, and them two met at about 10 yards, and Xavier just kept running. That's all we got to say about it, after that collision. So that's kind of what we want to see from him, man. And I was really excited.
And he's definitely capable of that,
too.
100%.
He's
a strong kid.
Yeah, I think he had 6 or 7 carries, and every one of them was hard, physical runs. And a lot of that's just, again, and we don't want to make the excuse of always being young, but, this is his first year getting significant carries in the varsity level. And, he's been used to being a guy that could most of the time just outrun guys to the edge, and that's not how it's going to work for him on Fridays.
Absolutely.
He's got to learn to set his blocks up and to be a powerful runner, and he did that Friday. So I'm really excited to kind of see him build on that.
Well, and defensively too, and I've got another question here. Younger guys making a name for themselves. I know you've got a team full of younger guys, but and first we'll start with your defense. Defensively, who were some guys that you thought were really good, but also just some other younger guys that maybe I haven't done a good job of getting in my articles. Who are some younger guys that deserve more credit?
Well, talking defense, really only only got 2 seniors that are consistently out there defensively, and that's Alex Bradshaw in the secondary and Charlie McCormick at linebacker. Now, we rotate some seniors in on the defensive line and a couple other positions, but other than that, those are your only 2 that's playing a lot of defense. And then talk about real young guys, 2 linebackers that's played a lot for us. Braden Windrow, inside linebacker, is a sophomore. Landon Augusto's played a lot of outside linebacker. He's a sophomore.
And Augusto's a name that I've been hearing. I started to hear it a little bit last year, but this year you hear it more and more and more. He's going to be a big piece of the team in the next coming years.
A big piece of the team right now.
Yeah,
but definitely as you move forward, and not that you can ever sit here and be like, you don't want to justify or make things okay that you're not always getting the results that you want on Fridays, but you also got to be realistic too and kind of see what you're playing with.
Absolutely.
And you look out there and you're looking at our linebacker core, and you got 1 senior, 2 sophomores, and a junior out there. You're playing. You look at the defensive line. Stone Grove is a senior that rotates in some in the rotation on the defensive line, but Nathan Lott been probably our best defensive lineman up until this point. He's a junior. Xavier Knight, been a really good defensive end for us, sophomore.
Yeah.
And then you go start looking at guys in the back end with Jaden Elliott and Keon and DeMattis and Dalton Groves, all juniors. Guys that still got a lot of football left to play, and you kind of go back to that conversation of making mistakes. We had some mistakes in the secondary Friday that obviously they hurt in the moment, but you're hoping that, we've made it now. We're not going to make that mistake again. And if that's the case, you can live with it a little bit.
Yeah, and one thing that we've brought up a few times sitting here on this show, we've interviewed and talked about, special teams has been an area that you've been really happy with at parts of the season. Is that something that is continuing for you? I mean, you're still happy with your special teams unit?
Yeah, we got a goal always to be 100% on PATs, and we only kicked one, but we're 100% on that on Friday. And Caden Thompson, another junior, that has really stepped into that role this year and been really, really consistent for us. Constantly working on that, and trying to improve his technique as a punter, as his kicker. But also, we talked about that stuff with the field goal operation. There's a lot more that goes into it than just the kick,
Absolutely.
right? And Xavier, and we've talked about this, but Xavier's done a good job with that. Jaden Holden. Caden, talk a little bit more about him. Done a really good job with our place kicking, but our kickoffs, something that we've been able to do effectively is spot kick, and being able to tell him, hey, this is where we need this ball to land for it to be effective. And a lot of times, he puts it, it's almost like he's out there playing a game and he's got these, top golf style places that he's going to kick at. But when you don't catch a kickoff clean, man, it kind of slows
chaos.
it slows the whole process up. And Caden has done a really good job. So glad he's a part of the team. Look forward to seeing him continue to grow.
All righty. Well, we're going to take our next break. When we get back, I'm going to ask Coach if he saw anything over the weekend that he liked. I don't know if you saw that Dolphins score, but that was a crazy game.
Right.
But we're going to go to break. We're going to come back. I'm going to ask him some questions. So y'all make sure you don't go anywhere.
Ethan was just one of those kids who was so kind. He was 16, funny as could be. He was just going to go hang out with some friends. He wanted to come home early and get a good night's sleep. He said, "Good night, Mom. See you in the morning. Love you." And my response was, "I love you too." I was talking to him, "Son, it's time to get up." And he didn't move. Your head doesn't go that my son has died. Having a hard conversation is so much easier than sitting in my seat.
As your local Ace Hardware of White Bluff, we are all committed to being the helpful place by offering our customers personal service, quality products, and the convenient shopping experience from the local experts who know you best. As the helpful hardware folks in your neighborhood, we promise that helping you is the most important thing we have to do today. Visit us online or in store.
If you love Funko Pop, figures, video games, and Star Wars toys, you need to check out New Wave Hobbies. With new items arriving daily, there's always something new to discover. From Funko Pop, figures to video games, Star Wars toys to Marvel collectibles, we've got everything you're looking for. Whether you're a fan of sports, movies, or TV, you'll find something to excite you. Visit us in store or check out our Facebook, New Wave Hobbies virtual store page today.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It was just a few cocktails at happy hour.
You really good try.
There aren't any cops around.
I didn't think there were any cops around. I drink and drive all the time.
Sir, you've been in a serious crash. I need you to hang on, okay? Tell me your name, sir. Where you are right now?
Welcome back to the Creekwood High School Football Coaches Show. I'm Casey Patrick. I'm here with Coach Thiel. Coach, this past weekend, of course, I just brought up the Dolphins. It was a wild score. I don't know if I've asked you already, do you have a fantasy football team? And if so, did you have either one of the Dolphins running backs on Sunday?
No, I do not have a fantasy team. I used to be involved in all those things, and the coaches and the guys would get me in on it. But I'm notorious for the guy that, you'll look up in week 4 and or however later in the season. And I've got 6 guys on buys. I get in these things and you just get caught up with all the stuff that you're doing Monday through Friday, and you let it get by. And so, no, I'm not on any fantasy teams, but I did have a couple guys that had the the Dolphins running back that what do you have ended up having 4 touchdowns or something like that.
Yeah, I had him in 3 leagues, and that's why I bring it up because I like to gloat about the fact that I went out and drafted that kid. Yeah, he scored 50 points for me, but
70 in an NFL game. We had saw, and I checked it, and it was maybe 42 or something, which is a lot for an NFL game. But then I looked back and I was like, does that say 70? Yeah. I mean, and it was just like, holy smokes. But
well, yeah, and I was, of course, Sunday I went over to Dickson, and that's when I recorded the show over there. And I mean, I was sitting there talking with the coaches as that game was ending, and I was waiting to talk to Coach Tomlinson, and we were just talking about how crazy that was. 70 points doesn't happen very often in an NFL game. Yeah. But did you see anything Saturday that you liked? I wound up playing in a golf scramble, so I didn't get to watch much college football.
Well, again, my Saturday was spent with our new house that we're building. So I did catch a little bit of the end of the Notre Dame Ohio State game.
That was a good game.
And bring up a point of kind of every coach's fear. Is that you go out there and you don't have enough guys out on the field. And not that you ever feel okay about it, but when you see guys that are making a whole lot of money to coach these football teams, and they go out there and you got 10 guys on the field.
I'm pretty sure 2 plays in a row, too.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that
it'd make me sick.
Right. Oh, and you do. I mean, and those are the things, but it's like, man, how do they, we have checks and balances to try to keep that from happening with us. They have those in place, but it just goes to show you that in a ball game, even when you're coaching, I mean, you're in the moment just like the kid is, and at times that those things get lost. And anytime that you've got action down there at the goal line and they limit, how far down the sideline that you could go, communication becomes so much harder. You can't just pull guys in and out as quick. So not that, Coach Wilson, our girls basketball coach, also runs the balls for us on Friday night. Big Notre Dame guy. So really pulling for him Saturday night so he could have himself a good weekend. But, it's one of those things that sticks out to you. It kind of goes back to, me and you being a Tennessee fan, that the Dooley era when we got all the guys out there at the LSU game, and we feel good about a stop. We've got 13 guys out there playing defense.
I had forgotten about that. See, you're bringing up old stuff, Coach. It kills me.
Yeah, you just can't let it go.
It's rough. It's hard to watch. I mean, as a fan, and I feel bad for Coach Wilson, but I really do. I got one more question before we go to our next break.
Yes, sir.
Coach, do you have any? Are there any? Of course, Deion Sanders in Colorado's been the show for everybody.
Right.
Are there any bandwagon teams that you've kind of, or like something that you've kind of just wanted to keep up with this year? You've liked watching, that maybe isn't Tennessee or the Titans or something like that.
Well, I mean, I think anybody that's keeping up with college football at all knows kind of what's going on with Colorado, just because it's pushed. And they do such a good job with their media and their content that it seems like it's everywhere that you turn on anything. And it's kind of like my mom was brought up Deion Sanders, and I'm like, Mom, what are we talking about? And then not only are we talking about Deion, it's because she's seen him giving speeches on TikTok. So now we've got double issues here. That first we're on TikTok, and now that we're know what Deion Sanders' pregame speech looks like, but. Man, I can't say I'm a Tennessee homer,
me too.
Through and through. And as far as keeping up with things, that's about the only team that I really try to keep an eye on. And there would have been a time that when I would have been in high school or even younger, that if a guy trotted out on the field and I saw the number, I knew who it was.
Yeah.
Now there's guys out there that I'm still trying to learn them, and I consider myself a big fan, but it's still to the point where. You just don't know. You don't know everybody anymore. So I that's something that I wish I should be a better fan at, I guess.
Well, and to be fair, Coach, I mean, both of us, we keep up with enough rosters as is, right? So it's that's usually my excuse if I forget a Titan or a Volunteer. I'm not paid to know them, so I don't need to know. But we're going to go to our last break. When we get back, we're going to preview Marshall County, who is pretty strong.
Yeah,
they're pretty good this year. So. Make sure you don't go anywhere. We got to talk about the Tigers coming up, so we'll be right back.
Nothing updates your home like new flooring, and we have it all. carpet LVP, wood, vinyl, and tile, along with professional installation, warranties, and friendly advice. Preston Thompson's Flooring and Paint, voted #1 flooring store in Dickson County.
At Dickson Tater Shack, we take loaded baked potatoes to a whole new level. We're not just any potato joint, we're the best this side of the Mason-Dixon line. Whether you're a traditionalist who loves classic flavors or a culinary adventurer seeking bold new combinations, we've got you covered. Located at 728 East College Street. Dine in or take out. Follow us on Facebook. Call us at 615-740-7111.
Ethan was just one of those kids who was so kind. He was 16, funny as could be. He was just going to go hang out with some friends. He wanted to come home early and get a good night's sleep. He said, "Good night, Mom. See you in the morning. Love you." And my response was, "I love you too." I was talking to him, "Son, it's time to get up." And he didn't move. Your head doesn't go that my son has died. Having a hard conversation is so much easier than sitting in my seat.
Watch it! Did that guy even see that girl on her bike?
Just like looking for other cars before switching lanes, drivers should keep their eyes out for those traveling on bikes. When a crash occurs between a vehicle and a bike, it's the cyclist who is most likely to be injured. Give cyclists room and do not pass too closely. Riders have the same rights and responsibilities as those behind the wheel.
Be aware, be alert. Brought to you by THSO, the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
If your paint project calls for bold and vibrant neutrals or soft pastels, Benjamin Moore has the design-inspired colors you've been looking for in a full line of durable, long-lasting paints. And they're all here at Preston Thompson's Flooring and Paint, voted #1 paint store in Dickson County.
Welcome back to the Creekwood High School Football Coaches Show. I'm Casey Patrick. I'm here with Coach Thiel. Coach, we've got Marshall County. You're headed to Marshall County this week. They're 5-1. Just quickly, what can you tell me about the Tigers? What do you know?
Really good ball team. I think that probably the second most talented team that we've seen this year behind Pearl Cone. Got a really good quarterback, Silas Teat. Got another receiver, A.J. Jones, I believe is how his name is pronounced. Number 2. We always talk about numbers, right? Mm-hmm. So number 2 for those guys, been around and really good ball player. But they just do some things that, it's hard to contain. They do a really good job of spreading the ball out. Got a lot of weapons. Quarterback is really good at seems like, man, he always just finds the open guy. There's times where, it looks like they got pretty good pass defense and, he's working through progressions and is able to find him. So be a big test for our secondary, our defense as a whole. It's going to be tested, Offensively, kind of an old school, 5-2 front. I mean, and most of the time you get up to the ball, there's going to be 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, which is, you see it at times, but not consistently where that's about what they show all the time. So kind of got some things that, we think that should be effective or could be effective if we operate cleanly. But one thing, when you go to Marshall County, it's going to be loud. It's going to be hostile. I mean, they get after you.
Yeah.
I went down there as a senior in high school, and Marshall County's kind of been one of these teams that throughout the history of Creekwood, they've kind of popped into the region and then they've disappeared. But when I was a senior here, Marshall County was in our region, and good ball team. We go down there, never played them, really never even heard of Marshall County,
yeah.
But we go down there and warm ups, and the stands are basically already filled up, and they're getting after us, and then, they play, they're the Tigers, so they play Welcome to the Jungle to kind of introduce their team. Yeah. And it was just one of those things as a player, you were kind of feeling, you were a little intimidated when it all first started.
It's go time.
Yeah, it was, and they jumped out to a 21-0 lead on us that night, and I credit a lot of that to how we felt pregame and kind of how the fans treated us and just the overall atmosphere. But we rallied, ended up winning 28-21 that night. Big game for us. But I expect that when we go back down there this Friday. We were down there a couple years ago, and it's a fun place to play there. A lot of these times when you're playing these older schools, they're stadium's, it's not on campus. It's down in town a little bit.
Yeah.
Seems like it's just one of those things that it's off in the neighborhood where everybody comes out, and it's just it'd be a fun night. It's a good thing to be a part of, but can be hostile at times.
And I was at the Marshall County game 2 years ago at Marshall County, and you kind of have to drive down a back road and then go behind somebody's house, and then you get there, and then the rest of the cars are there, and everybody's there.
Right, yeah.
But now the story you just told me about the 28-21 comeback, I'm sure your team's heard that story by now, haven't they?
Well, maybe some of them. I tell these stories of try to bring back past experiences.
Absolutely.
And they may or may not have heard that. I don't know. This squad as a whole has not heard that story just yet. Okay. So you keep them in your pocket, whenever you need to go. But man, sometimes you bring that up and you wonder, like, are these kids getting my message? Are they getting what I say? And that they're hearing you. They got a phrase going right now that apparently I say a lot. That we won't go into, but the kids, and I'll hear them saying it, and I'm like,
smart Alex.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
just having a good time with you, Yeah. They're picking up on everything you say and do.
Yes, they do. High school boys pick up on everything that they can. I know that for a fact. Now, Marshall County's got 4 straight wins. Are you worried at all that they've got a little bit more momentum coming into this game than your team?
Oh, well, I mean, you're coming off 4 straight wins. Yeah. I mean, they're definitely going to be riding high. I know, talked with Coach Osteen, their head coach, this week. They got some things going on, homecoming week for those guys. But it's a region game, so we're excited. We're in a spot where, we're 2-1 in the region. So, our guys know we've got 4 region games left. We got to play Marshall County, then we're on a bye, then we got Station Camp, Greenbrier, and White House. They know how this season shakes out as far as what they need to accomplish to be in the postseason.
And I'm glad you brought up those last 4 games. That's my last question. Last question of the show. But, Coach, you do have 4 games left. They're all region games. You know how important this is. Do you feel like your guys know how important the back end of the schedule is?
Yeah, and we've kind of been talking about this all year long.
Absolutely.
That we anticipate that when we come up here for that last game of the season, we play White House out here. We're playing for playoff seeding. We're playing for a playoff spot. And our guys know that. And that's kind of what I was alluding to at the beginning when we talked about not just giving them coach speak and being honest. Mm-hmm. They know where they're at. They know what kind of team Marshall County is. They know what they've got to do to go out there and make that a competitive ball game. But they also know, the games as we finish out this season that are must-win games if they want to keep playing football.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for meeting with me today, Coach. Good luck on Friday against Marshall County. At Marshall County, a little bit of a drive, but got a chance to pick up another region win against a really strong team. But we'll catch you back here next week, and thank y'all for coming and watching the show, and we'll see y'all later.
You've been watching the Creekwood High School Coaches Show with Creekwood head coach Houston Thiel and Dickson Post sports reporter Casey Patrick. Join us each week at this time on Main Street Media TV to get the latest on Creekwood football. The Creekwood Football Coaches Show is brought to you by Preston Thompson's Carpet Shop, Dickson Tater Shack, New Wave Hobbies, Ace Hardware of White Bluff, Drug Free Dickson Coalition, and the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.